Shaolin groans, peeling his heavy eyes open to the harsh glare of a freezing high-tech terminal, his vision completely fried and his skull throbbing like crazy. Scraping himself off the icy metal floor, he realizes he isn't alone. A sea of random strangers surrounds him, every single one of them looking absolutely clueless and terrified. Suddenly, an icy robotic voice booms through the intercom, demanding everyone's identity right this second. Our guy is literally short-circuiting, cold sweat rolling down his jaw as his brain scrambles to figure out where the heck he is and how he got dumped here. The ginormous Hospital White facility is packed with shadowy silhouettes, everyone completely frozen in absolute disbelief. This place doesn't give off Academy vibes at all, honestly, looking straight out of a sci-fi supermax prison. Shaolin finally shakes off the heavy brain fog, his jaw literally hitting the floor as reality sets in. His memory is a total blank, and he is absolutely blindsided by this insane glitch in the Matrix scenario. Stumbling to his feet, he frantically scans the packed arena, pure dread spiking in his chest. Yeah, this is definitely not his cozy bedroom. Dude immediately starts spiraling, wondering if he got snatched in the middle of the night, or if this is just some hyper-realistic fever dream. Suddenly, a brutal spike of pain stabs right through his skull, making him groan out loud and tightly grip his messy bedhead. It feels like a corrupted hard drive is being violently downloaded into his brain, flooding him with broken, chaotic flashbacks. And then boom, the horrific truth smacks him right in the face. Flashback to just a few hours ago, he remembers a super sketchy delivery, dropping off a package in the dead of night. That freaky acceptance letter inside is 100% the trigger for this massive nightmare. Let us hit rewind for a second. Before all this crazy sci-fi nonsense, Shaolin was literally just your average college grad trying to survive. He practically lived in his pitch-black goblin cave of a bedroom, eyes permanently glued to his glowing monitors. Yep, our guy was out here hustling as a professional game booster, securing his rent by grinding ranks and leveling up accounts for noobs with deep pockets. He wasn't just decent, he was a total sweat, his clients literally calling him a mechanical god for his insane plays. The adrenaline of the victory screen was his actual lifeblood, absolutely dominating the hyper-competitive grind of online gaming. It was a chill, low-key lifestyle, even if his parents constantly roasted him for not having a traditional 9-to-5 corporate job. Cracking his knuckles after a grueling marathon, Shaolin stretched back in his trashed room, super hyped about cashing in on another massive order. He was completely oblivious that his chill, predictable reality was about to violently shatter. To chill out, he crushed some junk food and doom-scrolled through social media, doing the exact same stuff every 20-something does. He was the ultimate shut-in, vibing way more with his virtual pixels and Discord servers than actual human beings. But honestly, underneath it all, the anxiety was eating him alive, constantly feeling this heavy pressure to figure out his true purpose and prove his worth. He desperately needed to flex on everyone and prove his gaming hustle was actually legit, not just a massive waste of time. The painful echo of his dad screaming at him, brutally labeling him a useless deadbeat for playing games 24/7, still haunted him. That is exactly why he packed his bags and bailed to shove his success in their faces and prove he was not some pathetic basement-dwelling scrub. Fast forward to that late night, 3 heavy knocks violently shattered the dead silence of his apartment. Shaolin blinked at the screen, totally weirded out. Who the heck was pulling up to his spot at 2 a.m.? He definitely had not ordered any late-night takeout. Peeking through the door, he found a creepy courier just standing there in the shadows, clutching a weird unmarked box. The guy flatly mumbled Shaolin's name. His face was completely swallowed by a dark hood. But he did not give off killer vibes, so Shaolin just awkwardly grabbed the creepy black package from his hands. The absolute second he ripped open the cardboard tape, this toxic-looking pitch-black aura started violently oozing out of the box like a literal horror movie. Amazon definitely does not ship cursed artifacts, and his fight or flight kicked in instantly. He knew right then that he was completely screwed. Massive glowing runic circles suddenly exploded across his bedroom floor, locking him dead inside a raging tornado of blinding neon blue energy. Paralyzed with pure dread, our guy could do nothing but watch as his gaming setup and his entire room literally vaporized into thin air. Right before he blacked out, a glowing holographic pop-up flashed before his eyes, cheerfully congratulating him on his forced acceptance into Dawn Academy. Before he could even blink, the system triggered a forced warp, violently yanking him straight out of his ordinary life on Earth. One blinding explosion of light later and poof, bro was literally gone. The only proof he even existed was a half-eaten takeout tray sitting in his dead, silent room, just chilling, completely abandoned on the freezing hardwood. Snapping back to reality, Shaolin grinds his teeth, finally piecing together that he just got straight-up abducted and dumped into some bizarre academy. His brain is doing backflips, wondering if he is stuck in a fever dream, or the punchline of some sick high-tech joke. Suddenly, a freezing, arrogant voice booms from above, taunting him for finally deciding to wake up. This guy oozes pure danger and clearly has absolutely zero chill for a clueless newbie sprawled on the floor. Enter instructor Qin Chuan, looking tough as nails and already incredibly disappointed. He glares down at Shaolin, ruthlessly roasting him for being knocked out cold for 3 whole hours, comparing our boy to some pathetic, weak little animal. Meanwhile, the rest of the crowd is absolutely losing their minds, screaming about calling the cops and crying kidnapping. These fools seriously think the laws of the real world still matter. They are totally blind to the absolute nightmare they just stumbled right into. Xin Chuan just glares at the whining mob, looking completely drained and sick of their crying. His patience meter hits 0, and he decides it is time to forcefully mute the entire room. In a flash, he whips out his blade, unleashing a terrifying heavy swing to instantly kill the noise. A massive glowing wave of purple aura violently rips through the entire hall, proving in 1 second that he is definitely not faking his insane power levels. The rookies instantly freeze in pure terror as the deadly shockwave tears through the air inches behind their heads. They instantly realize this dude's strength is totally out of this world, and that they are basically sitting ducks. He just stands there effortlessly gripping his enormous heavy weapon. With a deadpan glare, the instructor demands pin-drop silence from the trembling crowd. He is officially done playing nice, warning these kids to literally zip it if they actually want to make it out alive. Shaolin and the rest of the mob can only stand their jaws glued to the floor, desperately trying to process what kind of twisted hellscape they just got dragged into. Our guy slowly figures out that these so-called teachers might actually be completely unhinged. Xin Chuan aggressively massages his temples, groaning in pure frustration. He openly trash-talks the admissions office for dumping another batch of totally useless idiots onto his plate. Bro looks like he is 10 seconds away from completely snapping at these freshmen. Shifting his deadly gaze back to the crowd, he complains about all the precious time they wasted just because someone took a little nap. Shaolin shrinks into the background, praying to the heavens he does not catch any more heat. Dropping the attitude, he officially welcomes the survivors to Class 7 of Dawn Academy, laying out their one true goal. Their objective: grind level up, and finally unlock the right to step foot into a crazy undiscovered dimension. He drops the ultimate bait, hyping up this new world as a goldmine holding absolute power, endless cash, and literal immortality. Gu Xiaoyue locks in her eyes, totally glued to the instructor as he hypes up these legendary drops. But enough yapping. It is time for the main event to begin. Xin Chuan barks out that they are kicking off the potential assessment right this very second. He wants to see if any of these rookies are actually worth the Academy's precious time, or just pure trash. Shaolin frantically scans the room, realizing there are over 200 poor souls trapped right alongside him. He cannot help but silently panic, wondering if he will ever breathe Earth's air again after this totally cursed orientation. Our boy steps right up into a glowing futuristic portal, feeling exactly like the main character inside a hyper-realistic RPG. He is super skeptical about this whole new world hype, but definitely low-key dying to see his own base stats. The machine chirps, finishing the scan while Qin Chuan squints at the glowing holographic scoreboard. The first victim pulls a grand total of 24 points, setting the current baseline for these total noobs. This other dude is absolutely losing his mind, flexing a solid 32 points, acting like he just hit the ultimate jackpot. Homie is riding high on his mid-tier stats, already projecting major main character energy over the clueless newbies sweating bullets around him. The glowing gates keep flashing as freshmen filter through, but the vibe is painfully NPC, nothing but totally average drops. Qin Chuan rolls his eyes, muttering under his breath. He's fully roasting the admissions team, demanding they stop dragging absolute bottom feeders into the academy. Shaolin finally steps onto the scanning platform, but the whole atmosphere instantly shifts. The machine starts going haywire, blaring alarms non-stop. The progress bar is dragging, taking forever compared to the quick flashes everyone else got. Cold sweat beads on his forehead. The clock keeps ticking. Nothing happens. Panic creeps in as he silently prays the hardware is just bugging out. Or maybe his hidden potential is just too complex for the system to read. Even Qin Chuan narrows his eyes in pure confusion. Everyone else breezes through in seconds, but our boy has been stuck inside for almost a full minute. The instructor secretly wonders, did they just stumble upon an ultra-rare prodigy? A sharp ping signals the end. Shaolin exhales a heavy wave of relief washing over him. He's just thrilled to escape the cringe-worthy silence, totally clueless about the absolute bombshell dropping next. Hold up, the instructor snaps, pulling up the raw data to inspect it himself. The suspense is killing him. He's fully prepping himself to witness some S-tier god-level attributes. But the second his eyes hit the monitor, his jaw practically unhinges in sheer unfiltered disbelief. The glowing hologram floating in front of him is the exact opposite of an overpowered secret weapon. The breakdown is locked in: strength 2, agility 2, intelligence 2, vitality 3. Shaolin's combined stats hit an abysmal total of 9 points a number, so pathetically low, it defies basic logic. Qinchuan grits his teeth hard, glaring at the digital readout like it physically offends him. His brain is short-circuiting, trying to compute how a living human could still rock single-digit stats in this era. The instructor physically slaps his forehead, busting into a mocking laugh at the pure garbage glowing on the screen. In all his years grinding at Dawn Academy, he's never witnessed a build this cursed, and he instantly goes in for the kill. Shaolin drops his gaze, his pride instantly atomized as the teacher relentlessly roasts him, branding him an absolute irredeemable waste of oxygen. Congrats. Our boy just claimed the title of the biggest flop in the Academy's entire history. Heaving a massive sigh, the instructor mentally checks out. He fully flags Shaolin as dead weight betting real money. This kid won't survive 5 minutes in the freshman survival exam. Qinchuan spins around, treating him like an invisible ghost and stamping him a certified loser. Left isolated in the neon-lit room, Shaolin freezes the toxic insults, crushing his chest like a concrete block. Flashbacks start hitting hard every single time someone spat the word trash in his face. No matter what dimension he's in, it feels like this cursed label is permanently glued to his forehead. His jaw locks tight. That brutal insult has practically been the soundtrack of his life since day one. It's a savage reality check when all you want to do is survive this living nightmare without catching an L. But then, his knuckles turn white as a mysterious toxic purple glow pulses deep within his eyes. Is he seriously destined to be the underdog in this dystopian wasteland? Flaunting a glittering gold ID badge, the instructor smirks, claiming that handing this over is just throwing premium gear down the drain. Tossing the tag at him, he basically hands the kid a fast pass to the afterlife. But Shaolin snatches it up, refusing to let this arrogant boomer spit another toxic word. Shaolin throws his hand out, cutting off the nonsense. He is absolutely done listening to this broken record. He snipes the ID card straight from the instructor's grip before Qinchuan can even process what just happened. Shaolin locks onto it, his eyes burning with absolute unfiltered resolve. Sure, his base stats are total garbage right now, but he refuses to just roll over and fold. Squaring his shoulders, our boy boldly declares that some pathetic little digit will not dictate his destiny. He is taking this brutal entrance exam head-on, no matter how hard this smug instructor tries to treat him like dirt. Qinchuan flashes a wicked smirk at the sheer audacity mocking him to at least try not to wet himself when the nightmare begins. He is honestly dying to watch reality crash down and humble this delusional rookie. A random freshman chimes in, sweating bullets, begging to know how the academy filters out the elite prodigies from the scrubs. You could cut the thick, suffocating tension in that auditorium with a knife. Qinchuan casually drops the brutal truth: the lucky ones blessed by the RNG gods are hardwired to dominate. Those freaks of nature practically hold a VIP pass to not just survive, but absolutely own this terrifying new dimension. But for the rest of the bottom feeders, they better just pray they make it out of the tutorial alive. The entire room collectively deflates, hit with the sickening realization that they are nothing but disposable cannon fodder. Suddenly, Gu Ziyu breaks the silence, dragging the topic back to the promise of ultimate wealth and power. Ice runs through her veins. She locks dead onto the guy, literally holding their lives hostage. Pushing up her glasses, she cuts the fluff and demands to know the actual bloody cost of these massive payouts. This boss girl is totally immune to the shiny bait. She is starving for the raw, unfiltered truth. Qinchuan immediately clocks her as the absolute apex predator of the batch, the one with the wildest starting stats. He reveals that academy credits are the ultimate lifeblood here, and you can literally cash them in to manifest whatever your heart desires. Gu Ziyu just gives a sharp single nod, downloading the intel with a chilling deadpan expression. She is already treating this twisted nightmare like a hardcore strategy game, calculating her brutal path to the top. Shaolin watches her from the back, completely blown away by her insane stats and pure boss energy. The massive power gap between them hits him like a truck, especially seeing how the ruthless instructor actually treats her with respect. Qinchuan barks at the crowd to just picture the words "check attributes" to summon their system screens. It sounds like your basic MMO trope, but in this hellhole, those glowing numbers literally dictate if you breathe tomorrow. Going along with the command, Shaolin grips his ID tag tight as it sparks to life with a faint glow. His heart hammers in his chest. He is terrified to read his full profile, even knowing his base stats are completely busted. With a flash, his holographic status panel rips open in front of him, glaring back with absolute rock-bottom numbers and a ticking timer showing exactly 60 years of lifespan left. His blood runs ice cold as his eyes lock onto a brutal red warning: every single death physically strips 10 years off your life. The auditorium instantly explodes into pure chaotic panic as the freshmen realize their actual life forces are up for grabs. Treating human lifespans like cheap casino chips completely shatters their fragile minds. Out of nowhere, a high-pitched alarm slices straight through Xiaolin's eardrums, absolutely blindsiding him in the middle of the chaos. His teal eyes snap wide open as he feels a massive glitch tearing through the Academy's core matrix. A blinding ultra-rare pop-up crashes onto his screen, screaming that critically abnormal energy spikes have just been detected. Looks like the system just sniffed out a god-tier secret buried deep inside our underdog that even the arrogant instructors totally missed. Xiaolin stands completely paralyzed as an insane aura of crackling purple energy violently detonates around his body. Our guy is literally shook to his core. The absolute zero. They all trash just instantly awakens some terrifying main character level power right out of thin air. The dude's mind is absolutely glitching out as his eyes stay glued to the glowing system prompt. This is the ultimate lifeline he's been praying for. Still processing this massive info dump is frying his brain. Xiaolin throws panicked glances left and right. It suddenly clicks. He is the sole person catching these bizarre digital chimes. Not even the hawk-eyed instructor Qin Chuan senses the crazy phenomenon unfolding right in front of him. A neon hologram hovers dead center in his vision, glitching as the system fails to decode this mysterious new ability. The title and tier straight up classified as unknown, wiping the database clean of any matches. Diving into the specs, he uncovers a broken passive buff that boosts his learning speed by a whopping 100%. Better yet, he scores a weekly active skill that lets him copy-paste anyone else's moves, turning him into a massive survival threat. Because this cheat code literally doesn't exist in the lore yet, the system hands him the keyboard to christen it himself. He pauses, gears turning. He needs a title that goes hard, but actually flexes his insane copycat potential. Our guy's gaze hardens, fueled by a fresh, unshakable drive. He settles on something clean-cutting, straight to the point. The Zero to Hero arc starts right now, and he's fully ready to weaponize this blessing. Wrapped in a crackling, toxic purple aura, Xiaolin squares his shoulders and locks in his choice. He drops the name Academic Prodigy, an absolute flex for a dude about to speedrun mastery. The interface pings, stamping the title into the server at level 1. Then the AI fires up one last scan to measure just how broken this buff really is. The panel explodes with a blinding SS rank, cementing that Xiaolin just rolled one of the most god-tier abilities in existence. Our main character stands tall, the imposter syndrome finally melting away. Zooming in on those glowing teal eyes, you catch the raw spark of hype and absolute resolve. This is the exact catalyst he needed to humble every single hater who ever looked down on him. It blows his mind that even a heavyweight beast like Qin Chuan couldn't detect his awakened status. Cut to the drill sergeant, who is currently roasting the life out of the trembling rookies. Xiaolin is just frozen staring as the reality of an SS-class power finally hits his bloodstream. Players in this realm would literally spill blood for this kind of loadout, and it's sitting right in his palm. A cocky smirk pulls at his lips while his stare turns deadly. The boy is dialed in and ready to break the server. This invisible hack is his ace in the hole, and he plans to milk it to stay alive. Suddenly, a spiky-haired kid starts hyperventilating, screaming questions at the veteran. The math ain't mathing for him. He only has 9 years of lifespan on the clock, but catching a single death costs 10, meaning one slip-up and he is permanently wiped from the game before the tutorial even ends. The battle-scarred instructor, yeah, patience isn't exactly in his vocabulary. He violently clocks the kid over the head, branding the entire squad a bunch of brain-dead rookies. Just for whining about the brutal mechanic. Getting uncomfortably close, Qin Chuan spits out the savage truth. Flat out, if he drops dead once his timer hits 0 and he gets erased from existence. This isn't virtual reality. This is a cold-blooded execution trap. But here is the loophole. Time is loot. Clear the raid, scale your power, and you can literally buy back your mortality. It's a twisted high-risk market where every heartbeat acts as premium currency. Witnessing this absolute madness, Xiaolin's stomach drops. Just yesterday, he was a bottom-tier game booster, and now he's locked in a literal hellscape, where his actual pulse is being commodified and auctioned off by the second. This academy doesn't just teach you, it offers a one-way ticket to completely rewriting your fate. Instructor Qin Chuan flexes the idea of ultimate godlike dominance, giving these rookies a glimpse of absolute power that is if they don't get slaughtered in the hellish trials waiting for them. We aren't just talking about getting physically jacked here. Forbidden magic legendary loot and expanded lifespans are all on the table for the elite who claw their way to the top. The payout is insane, but the death toll is even crazier. Qin Chuan even drops the ultimate bait, straight up immortality. Stack enough points and credits, and you could literally cheat death forever. He paints a cosmic endgame that feels like a sick joke. That is when Gu Ziyao, the sharp-eyed girl rocking glasses, finally breaks the dead silence. She cuts to the chase. Do these twisted rules only apply inside these campus walls, or is this their reality everywhere? The instructor delivers a harsh reality check. The second you enroll, the Academy's brutal laws bind you universally, even back home on Earth. Once the system locks onto you, running is simply not an option. But enough yapping. Qin Chuan barks that the lethal entrance exam kicks off right this exact second. Panic ripples through the freshmen. Reality hits them hard as they realize they either fight or he commands the terrified crowd to freeze in their tracks. Raising a glowing hand, Qin Chuan gears up to warp the entire squad straight into the meat grinder. His booming voice echoes across the sleek high-tech hall as the teleportation sequence ignites. Massive neon panels flare to life along the walls, flashing a ruthless countdown, marking their violent shift from the safe zone straight into an absolute nightmare. Gu Ziyao doesn't even flinch as the blinding timer hits 3. While the rest of the mob is losing their minds, she is absolutely ice cold, fully primed to showcase exactly why she sits on the throne as the highest-ranked rookie in the batch. Zhao Lin clenches his jaw, his eyes burning with raw defiance. He is painfully aware that he is the weakest link in this entire room, but there is zero chance he is throwing away his remaining lifespan without sparking a massive brawl first. Boom! The entire hall detonates in a blinding flash of violet energy. The warping magic grabs hold, snatching all 200 students and dumping them straight into a lethal overgrown hellscape dubbed the Goblin. Now standing solo in the dead silent hall, Qin Chuan lets out a heavy, irritated sigh. He is sweating over the fact that this lineup of total noobs is going to absolutely tank his instructor rating. Talk about a seriously cursed draw. But just as he questions whether any of these kids can actually beat the impossible odds, a booming bark of laughter from behind makes him whip around. Another instructor struts in effortlessly, puffing on a thick cigar like he owns the place. He hollers at old Chin, radiating a smug energy completely opposite to our grumpy veteran. Peeking at his own roster, this new guy is totally hyped. His class just spawned an A-rank and a B-rank prodigy. He is practically gloating, convinced he just hit the jackpot for the best class of the year without lifting a finger. Qin Chuan quickly shoots down the hype, flexing his own monster genius, who boasts over 40 stat points. The two instantly start spilling the tea about the mythical double S-rank freshman who supposedly spawned over in Eagle Nation last year. But Qin Chuan immediately shuts down the crazy gossip. He insists that double S-rank talents are straight-up urban legends with zero proof backing them up. Heck, even standard S-ranks are so ridiculously rare you could count them on one hand. Meanwhile, the rookies smash face first into the brutal depths of the Goblin Nest. The vibes in this forest are absolutely putrid, packed with mangled branches and an odor that straight up punches you in the gut. It hits the newbies so hard that half of them, Zion Lin pinches his nose shut, his face twisted in pure revulsion. That gut-wrenching smell is the ultimate reality check, proving this dimension is brutally authentic. Way more visceral than any RPG HUD has. Suddenly, a neon blue interface glitches into existence right in his face. Our guy instantly locks in, hyped to read his first quest and find out if his broken talent actually slaps. The entrance exam objectives flash across the glowing panel. Zion is trapped inside a goblin hive with exactly 1 hour to break out. His side quests: terminate 5 grunts or assassinate the Goblin King. The system drops a clutch care package for all the rookies. It is basically an RNG loot box holding a random weapon to keep them breathing in these cursed woods. Zion holds his breath, praying to the RNG gods for some overpowered gear. Out of nowhere, a massive server-wide alert drops an absolute bombshell. Get this, the death penalty is completely disabled for this trial, which means getting wiped out will not drain a single second of their actual lifespan. Catching that massive W, the entire freshman class erupts into hyped cheers. The tension totally vaporizes, knowing they can go full, try hard without permanently losing years off their clock, giving everyone the green light to finally chill out and lock on to the mission. Zion swipes the holo display to unbox his starter pack. He rolls a basic novice wand, a totally trash tier F rank staff, equipped with a starter move called Energy Orb. The second his fingers wrap around the wood, a notification dings confirming he just instantly unlocked basic wand mastery. This right here, this is where his insane academy arc officially kicks off. Zion inspects the glowing stick in his grip, realizing this twisted reality functions exactly like the MMOs he used to dominate back home. From this point forward, it is purely a grindfest to farm XP and stack up passive buffs. His gaze sharpens, fueled by a hardcore burst of adrenaline and ambition. If the physics here strictly mirror game logic, he holds a toxic advantage over these so-called prodigies who have never touched a controller. Zion decides it is time to take this low-tier weapon for a quick test drive. He whips the staff forward, igniting a wild burst of neon purple sparks. The timber heavily vibrates with raw arcane. A violent shockwave of magic obliterates the dirt with an ear-splitting boom. Zion is actively pushing the boundaries of his starter gear, gauging the exact destructive output this flimsy-looking stick can unleash. Thick smoke and steam violently hiss from the crater as the solid bedrock fractures. It is honestly a solid flex, but casting these spells aggressively scars the terrain. But wait, hitting that simple combo instantly rewards him with 2 raw mastery points. A cocky smirk creeps onto Zion's face, realizing he can literally cheese his way to the top tier just by spamming attacks. Thanks to his completely busted double S rank prodigy trait, his stats are going to snowball at double the normal speed. He aggressively brandishes the wand, knowing damn well he is about to violently speedrun past every elite student in this lobby. But that massive ego trip violently crashes when a blinding migraine strikes, forcing a desperate groan from his lungs. Yeah, this tutorial phase is officially hitting a brutal roadblock. Zion fiercely grabs his temples as a critical error prompt violently blinks on screen. His base mana pool is ridiculously tiny, making it literally impossible to spam magic, rendering this entire magic build completely useless right out of the gate. Meanwhile, just a few feet away, a beefed-up meathead named Wang Dalin is screaming in pure hype after scoring a heavy sword class. Zhao Lin's eyes track the chaos, a massive realization hitting him hard. Basic physical weaponry, that is the ultimate secret sauce for farming experience points here. He scans the courtyard as clueless rookies awkwardly test out their starter gear. But camping out in a safe zone, totally off the table. The brutal ticking clock and massive stamina drain mean they have to keep moving to survive this meat grinder. He glances down at the flimsy magic wand and he needs cold hard steel if he is going to side it out alive. Something that actually scales with his current build. A blade that lets him squeeze every drop of potential out of his god-tier SS rank-leveling cheat. Just then, Gu Zhaoyu steps into his personal space, dropping a straight-up trade offer. Her piercing eyes lock onto his wand like a heat-seeking missile. With her stacked intelligence stats, she breaks it down perfectly. Hurling spells drains heavy mental juice and mana. So, leaning into a pure mage build, that is her only real play. She does not sugarcoat it either, flat out stating the wand belongs in her hands, subtly roasting his own magic potential in the process. Zero fluff, all facts. This girl is dangerously blunt. Zhao Lin instantly spots her as the prodigy who crushed the placement exams earlier. He flashes an easygoing smirk and introduces himself. Deep down, he is racking his brain figuring out why an S-tier talent is suddenly giving him the time of day. But Zhao Yu cuts right through the small talk, aggressively pushing the weapon swap. She is a literal machine wired strictly for maximum efficiency. She wants her loadout perfected before they plunge into the actual death zone. Tossing over the wooden stick, Zhao Lin drops a quick piece of advice. He warns her to check her crosshairs because raw magic means 0 if she cannot actually hit her targets. In return, his fingers finally wrap around a sleek short sword. A savage grin tugs at his lips as he tests the weapon's weight. Now this feels incredibly lethal, the absolute perfect fit for his melee-heavy loadout. But surviving this tutorial hell requires more than just a sharp blade. He realizes he desperately needs a rock-solid squad to carry through the chaos. His gaze shifts back to the ice-cold genius standing in front of him. Flashing a charming smile, he casually pitches the idea of forming a duo. Honestly, it is a massive big brain play, especially since their newly swapped gear perfectly complements each other. Before she can even open her mouth, the hulking-class meathead Wang Dalin bulldozes right into the conversation. Acting like Zhao Lin is completely invisible, he shamelessly flexes on Zhao Yu, aggressively demanding she join his party. The dude is a walking, talking mountain of pure ego. He immediately starts yapping about his double-digit strength stats crossing the 10-point mark. He genuinely believes his bulging biceps are all it takes to make the top-tier prodigy swoon. Dalin sneers at Zhao Lin, violently trash-talking him, as nothing but a weak, utterly useless. Our main guy just chuckles from the sidelines. Because, let us be real, beefy stats are absolute garbage if there is 0 brain power operating the joystick. Zhao Yu fixes the bully with a dead absolute 0 glare. She is entirely unfazed by his cringe-worthy flexing and imaginary alpha status. Without skipping a single beat, she pivots on her heel and ghosts him, shutting down his proposal with savage indifference. There is absolutely no universe where she parties up with a brain-dead tank like Dalin. The surrounding rookies erupt into muffled snickers, openly roasting the giant for catching such an embarrassingly swift L. As the giggles echo around him, Daline's face contorts into pure seething fury. He is practically foaming at the mouth, his massive frame trembling violently as the brutal public humiliation sinks in. His fragile glass ego has completely shattered, and taking an L gracefully is clearly not in his vocabulary. Now his bloodshot eyes frantically scan the crowd, hunting for a punching bag to unleash his. Wang Dalin locks his death glare straight onto Xiaolin. Our boy just chills there, totally lost as to why the vibe suddenly went toxic. The meathead totally loses it, closing the gap in a flash to fist Xiaolin's collar. He gets up in his face, screaming, demanding to know what he is staring at, completely ready to throw hands right then and there. Dalin keeps aggressively spewing absolute trash talk, calling Xiaolin a total scrub-rocking single-digit stats. He violently roasts him for even pretending to inspect his weapon, straight up branding him as useless dead weight. But despite the hostilities, Xiaolin keeps his cool ice in his veins. He calmly claps back, telling the raging bully that survival boils down to pure skill, and drops a reality check suggesting he saved. Yeah, that just pours straight gasoline on Daline's temper. He yanks Xiaolin's shirt even closer, knuckles turning white, bellowing that he is about to demonstrate exactly what his overpowered stats look like up close. Instead of sweating it, Xiaolin just lets out a quiet, mocking chuckle. He remains utterly unbothered by the flexing, looking like he holds a secret that this raging blockhead completely missed, flashing the brute a totally frosty, knowing smirk. Xiaolin whispers that he will not even get a split second to flex those, right as a lethal threat zeroes in from the blind spot. Daline was way too busy playing the alpha male, completely missing the jagged green goblin launching itself from the pitch-black shadows. The dude barely blinks before those absolutely gnarly claws are swiping right at his face. The creature explodes out of the dense brush, catching Daline slipping entirely off guard. He shrieks as the beast's talons shred the air, whizzing by his flesh by mere inches. Daline spits a curse, his expression twisting into pure humiliated rage. He cannot wrap his head around letting a bottom-tier mob totally finesse him right in front of the whole squad. The goblin catches air again, its beady eyes radiating pure toxic malice. It is absolute nightmare fuel, fiercely determined to pack up the loudmouth. Snapping back into reality, Dalin violently swings his colossal greatsword. He unleashes a totally primal roar. As the heavy steel cleaves flawlessly through the monster, gasping for air, the guy looms over the dusted mob. He is visibly rattled, suddenly fully realizing that one tiny slip-up in this simulation means catching a permanent game over in real life. So, naturally, this clown instantly points fingers at Xiaolin, screaming at him for just spectating while he almost got wiped out. He is so obviously tilted, trying to cover up his massively botched reaction to the jump scare. But mid-rant Daline turns into a statue as violent rustling echoes from the tree line. His pupils dilate, the horrifying realization setting in that the single goblin was literally just the appetizer. A massive horde of these green menaces spills out of the darkness. They are absolutely swarming, surrounding the rookies with wicked grins and rusty blades fully locked. Absolute mass hysteria ripples through the squad. The noobs start shrieking in pure terror, figuring out real quick that their little survival test just mutated into an absolute nightmare as endless waves drop in. The creatures do not waste a second, crashing into the front line with savage, zero hesitation efficiency. One girl frantically tries to block, but she is instantly getting swallowed alive by the sheer mob density. A student takes a brutal slash right to the chest, his entire body shattering into glowing digital pixels. The VR system is ruthless. Every single hit registers with bone-crushing reality, even though it's technically just code. It is an absolute bloodbath out there. The battlefield is literally a graveyard of fallen classmates, as those nightmare creatures just tear through the remaining survivors, showing absolutely zero mercy. Xiaolin parries a goblin's savage swing. His jaw clenches tight as the sheer force of the blow shoots straight up his arm. It hits him like a freight train. The sharp sting of pain, the sickening stench of iron in the air, it is way too real. He catches sight of a girl pinned against the wall. He braces to jump in, but out of nowhere, a blinding flash of purple magic screams past the goblin's skull, obliterating the freak before it can even twitch. Enter Gu Ziyu. She steps onto the scene, her staff surging with crackling, violent violet energy. Ice cold and totally unbothered, she is fully prepared to flex exactly why she holds the #1 spot in the entire academy. Drenched in monster guts, our guy scans the absolute chaos of the war zone. Standing out in the open is basically a death sentence right now, or they are all going to get wiped. He quickly figures out that handing a weapon to a total noob just makes them an armed target. They are literal sitting ducks. This is no basic tutorial level. This is a savage winner-takes-all fight for survival. Suddenly, a classmate wildly gestures toward a dark cavern, screaming at the top of his lungs for everyone to bolt. The mob of goblins, they are actually backing off, visibly terrified to step foot inside that rock formation. While the rest of the squad desperately stampedes for cover, Xiaolin's brain goes into overdrive. Why is this specific spot a safe zone? He has to crack the game's hidden logic immediately to survive. He slides into the shadows of the cave. Okay, they can finally breathe. But his hardcore gamer intuition is screaming red alerts. No spawn point stays completely safe forever in a raid like this. Ping. A glowing holographic interface flashes displaying a barrier countdown with less than 30 minutes on the clock. They bought themselves some time, but the clock is ruthlessly ticking down. Knuckles white around his hilt, he forces his sprinting heart rate to chill. Panic gets you killed. He needs to break down the mechanics like a top-tier esports pro. Glaring into the pitch-black abyss, his eyes lock in. There is zero chance he is just going to cower here and wait for those creeps to come finish the job. Directly against the stone wall, obsessively dialing in his strike angles. And get this, the simulation actually feeds him a stream of sweet XP for the grind. Jackpot. He realizes he can literally farm proficiency right here in the bubble, considering his base stats are absolute garbage. Our dude needs to max out every single mechanical advantage he can grab, but fast forward. The sanctuary shield is blinking red, leaving the squad with exactly 2 minutes of safety before all hell breaks loose again. Pure, unadulterated panic sweeps through the crowd as reality crashes back in. Their little safe haven is history. The rookies are totally losing it, violently arguing that this quest is basically rigged because those freaks are way too fast. They are dead set on the idea that stepping 1 foot outside means an instant game over. Meanwhile, Gu Ziyu is chilling against the cavern wall, looking insanely zen next to these hyperventilating kids. Her uniform might be scuffed, but she still radiates that icy, untouchable main character aura. While the rest of the lobby wastes precious seconds crying about it, Xiaolin is still locked in, relentlessly battering his weapon against the solid rock. He is ruthlessly committed to milking every single drop of experience. His muscles are screaming, totally gassed out. Sweat is literally dripping off his chin, but he keeps pushing his physical limits past the absolute red line. Aware of his garbage stats, he knows he has got to grind like an absolute madman just to catch up. Gu Zhaoyou just watches him sweat flat out, telling him to give it a rest, since leveling up a skill usually eats up a solid hour. Little does she know our boy is packing a major cheat code. Xiaolin is honestly low-key amazed by her big brain energy. Knowing she is a total genius, he just bites his tongue. He is about to shatter her perfect math in a matter of seconds. Catching this top-tier waifu pushing up her glasses, it clicks for him. Hitting level 2 is supposed to drain at least 60 minutes, a luxury they absolutely cannot afford right now. But hey, that rule only applies to the NPCs. He just smirks, fully aware his academic prodigy buff is about to carry him hard. While she thinks he is just swinging at ghosts, he is literally seconds away from pulling off the impossible for a rookie. A system ping pops up, proving he is inches. All that brutal grinding is finally cashing in, handing him a massive advantage for the bloodbath ahead. Xiaolin totally flips the script. He asks Gu Zhaoyou if she has clocked any attack patterns from the goblin horde outside. Respecting her elite IQ, he knows damn well she has not just been twiddling her thumbs. Her eyes go wide behind her round frames, totally shook that he actually caught on to her scouting. She definitely did not expect the class bottom feeder to be playing 4-dimensional chess while everyone else was panicking. He casually brushes it off, comparing it to running a raid where checking the wiki is step 1. Gu Zhaoyou just gives him a blank stare, clearly not the type to waste her life on a console. Our guy breaks down the enemy weaknesses. He points out their pathetic F-rank stats and paper-thin armor. He realizes the winning strat is just swallowing their fear and going straight for the base of the skull. He tells her, this whole mission is honestly a cakewalk if they do not panic. Glancing at the terrified mob of students nearby, he lets out a heavy sigh. He knows the real final boss right now is their own cowardice. One chick is literally shaking out of her skin, completely frozen by the nightmare unfolding around them. Without growing a spine, these kids have zero shot at surviving the next goblin wave. As the safe zone timer hits 0, our guy gears up to step into the meat grinder. They both know camping in a corner will not score them the survival credits they desperately need. Out of nowhere, their exit gets blocked by this absolute unit rocking a massive scowl. Wang Dalin steps up, looking desperate to flex on anyone smaller than him. This total meathead does not even look our main character in the eye. Instead, he aggressively demands Gu Zhaoyou to ditch the scrub and party up with him. He trashes Xiaolin as total dead weight, fully convinced that brute force stats are the only thing that matters. Gu Zhaoyou brushes him off, instantly clapping back that the real loot and glory drop from the boss. She is already skipping the tutorial mobs and eyeing the Goblin King. Wang Dalin barks back, calling the boss a side quest that has not even spawned yet. He thinks she is completely out of her mind for trying to fight a ghost. Xiaolin steps in, breaking down how these simulations always hide specific triggers to force a boss spawn. He is treating this literal life or death bloodbath like a casual speedrun guide. Gu Zhaoyou catches onto his wavelength. She instantly crosses out the timer and student body count as the hidden triggers. The duo quickly figures out the cheat code rack up a massive body count, and the big bad finally shows his face. Our guy breaks it down. If they slaughter enough of these low-level grunts, the Goblin King will have no choice but to drop in. While the rest of the squad is practically shaking in their boots, he is already mapping out the ultimate boss raid in his head. The resident archer girl looks absolutely horrified at the mere mention of fighting a royal boss. She can barely handle the basic foot soldiers, but our dude is about to serve up a serious reality check. Zhao Lin drops a major truth bomb. Wiping out here comes with 0 actual penalties. On the flip side, the loot for pulling this off is absolutely insane. He warns them that backing down right now would just be tossing an epic power-up straight into the trash. Our MC looks them dead in the eye, asking if they seriously believe the Academy will hand them another freebie like this once they actually walk through the official school gates. He hypes them up, urging everyone to go completely demon mode and secure those sweet bonus points. Slowly but surely, the gears start turning in the other students' heads. It is not like they have an out anyway. The safe zone barrier is ticking down to 0, making it the perfect do-or-die moment to lay it all on the line. Out of nowhere, Wang Delin completely loses his mind. He screams at the party for blindly following at a perceived scrub, and flexing his starting stats of 32, the meathead boldly claims he is the only real carry in this lobby. Gu Zhaoyou does not even blink. She completely roasts him, casually mentioning that a 32 is basically NPC-level garbage. She stares down the loudmouth bully, daring him to repeat his so-called elite numbers. With a slick push of her glasses, she drops the hammer, casually revealing her own insane base score of 46 points. Dead silence. The entire squad is stunned as they calculate the astronomical gap between her and the rest of the rookies. This queen takes exactly 0 prisoners, telling the loudmouth to pipe down immediately. Gripping her magic staff like an absolute boss, she effortlessly claims the alpha spot of the entire raid group. The meathead bully chokes on his own words, a cold sweat dripping down his face. Even the background characters are flabbergasted, realizing her numbers dwarf their pathetic, single-digit stats by more than 5 times over. For once, Zhao Lin is actually caught off guard. Doing the mental math, he realizes her raw power absolutely shatters his initial estimates. He just stares at her, genuinely starstruck, finally witnessing the overwhelming aura of a top-tier prodigy in the flesh. Gu Zhaoyou steps right into the captain's chair, commanding anyone who actually wants to survive and bag the epic loot to fall in line. She makes it crystal clear coordinating as a unified squad is their only ticket to speedrunning this nightmare. She slaps Wang Delin with the vanguard duty, ordering him to frontline and soak up all the goblin aggro. For all his tough guy trash talk from 2 minutes ago, the meathead just grumbles and submits to the new chain of command. The panicked archer and the rest of the ranged attackers are locked into the backline for heavy fire support. The rookies quickly sync up into tight 3-man units, gearing up to completely wipe the floor with every green-skinned monster in sight. Locking eyes with our MC, she waits to see where he actually fits into her master plan. The prodigy is visibly intrigued, wondering how a supposedly bottom-tier player is going to pull his weight in a raid boss clash. Zhao Lin volunteers to play the flex role, darting around the battlefield, and promising to assassinate any low-health stragglers trying to bolt. He knows perfectly well that his current stats are way too trash to survive a heavy frontline brawl. With the battle lines officially drawn, the rookie squad takes a deep breath and marches out of the safe zone together. They have officially evolved from a chaotic mess of screaming rookies into a semi-functional strike squad totally hyped to farm these goblins for credits. Wang Dalin spearheads the assault. Bellowing a vicious war cry, he heaves his colossal broadsword, cleaving straight toward the first ugly target in his sights. The dude is absolutely desperate to prove he isn't total dead weight, completely ignoring his garbage-based stats. Our sniper girl lets loose her very first arrow, her knuckles white and shaking, as she zeroes in on those green freaks. She completely refuses to be a burden, desperate to pay back Zhao Lin for literally saving her skin earlier in the zone. Suddenly, a massive horde of goblins swarms the squad, closing the gap with terrifying breakneck speed. Their toxic glowing eyes lock dead onto their fresh prey. The squad braces for impact, clenching their jaws, because if this front line crumbles, they are all absolute toast. Out of nowhere, one of the runts launches itself into the air, extending razor-sharp talons straight for the archer's throat. She shrieks, completely paralyzed by fear, her feet glued to the floor as death hurtles right at her. But in a split second, Zhao Lin flashes into the frame, intercepting the ambush with a devastating blow. His gaze is absolutely locked and burning with pure deadly concentration. He calculates the exact microsecond to strike, parrying the beast mid-air before those claws can even graze her. With one buttery smooth flawless slash, our guy expertly executes his very first kill of the run. A crisp holographic notification pings his HUD confirming the takedown and feeding his adrenaline as the real chaos kicks off. The girl gasps out a panicked thank you, but Zhao Lin barks at her to snap out of it and keep her eyes peeled. Internally, he maps out his stamina gauge, vowing to hold back and only strike when he gets an absolute guaranteed critical hit. He pivots like a phantom, slicing right through a second goblin as the system counter satisfyingly ticks up to 2. Every single pivot, parry, and strike is mathematically perfect. He is basically min-maxing his physical output, burning 0 extra energy while unleashing absolute maximum DPS. Boom, that is, kill number 3. He casually flatlines another monster with surgical precision. He is fully in the flow state now, ruthlessly abusing their visual blind spots, exactly like he theory-crafted from day 1. And just like that, he snags 4 back-to-back kills in absolute speed. Our MC is single-handedly proving that massive brainpower totally wipes the floor with trash-based stats. And that insane lethality is finally making some major waves among the rest of the raid group. The other rookies completely halt to stare mind-blown by how effortlessly our guy is slaughtering the front line. While half the squad is trying to compute his impossible accuracy, salty Wang Dalin just rolls his eyes, aggressively brushing it off as crazy dumb luck. But Gu Zhaoyu is playing a completely different game. Her eagle eyes catch the truth instantly. His combat flow isn't random, it is highly calculated. She clocks exactly how he intentionally weaves right through the monster's peripheral vision to stay entirely invisible. The dude is practically reading the future, dodging their aggro before stepping back. Zhao Lin takes a quick breather, soaking in the insane payoff from his relentless secret grind. A massive holographic banner erupts, confirming he has stacked enough XP to officially upgrade his core blade mastery. He successfully hits level 2 faster than literally anyone else. His mind flashes back to those brutal 2 months he spent sweating his life away inside a hardcore VR simulator before even touching foot in this academy. Every single agonizing hour of that repetitive shadowboxing is finally cashing out, feeding him the exact god-tier muscle memory needed to survive this bloodbath. Suddenly, a glittering gold prompt hijacks his vision. The Academy's AI is definitely watching, and his insane performance just tripped a major hidden trigger. He just unlocked a ridiculously massive secret achievement. The automated overseer is currently queuing up a super. After completing a hyperfast biometric database scan, the AI server proudly announces that he is the very first freshman in the entire generation to successfully rank up a combat skill. And as a massive payout for his insane grind, the system straight up gives him a brand new customized skill book, perfectly tailored. A blinding wave of purple energy explodes around him. Boom! The heavy slash skill is officially online. And honestly, even with his totally garbage-based stats, bagging an active combat skill finally gives him the deadly edge he desperately needs to shred these green freaks. The move demands 11 strength points, letting him drop an absolute nuke of a concentrated attack. But there is a catch. The system throws a massive red flag. Spamming this attack will completely tank his stamina bar in seconds. Riding a massive high of adrenaline and confidence, Zhao Lin flashes a wicked smirk. He realizes he is just one single takedown away. He is dead set on crushing his very first optional quest and snatching up those sweet bonus credits before this whole trial goes sideways. He propels himself forward like a bullet. His blade pulses with raw power as he executes a brutal finishing strike on a nearby creep. Every single swing is surgically precise, laser focused on wiping the floor with them as fast and flawlessly as humanly possible. As the last goblin bites the dust, the system chimes in. Mission accomplished. His first optional quest is in the bag. His whole strategy of prioritizing pure technique over brute strength is already cashing in way harder than anyone predicted. Zhao Lin finally exhales, casually resting his blade against his shoulder while soaking in his first massive win. But wait, a bizarre glitchy screech suddenly cuts through the air. The simulation is shifting gears into its next phase. Right before the student's stunned eyes, the surviving goblins start dissolving into floating blue pixels. Even the cocky jerk Wang Dalin is standing there looking totally clueless. He cannot wrap his head around why their prey is literally evaporating into thin air. The bully screams his lungs out in sheer rage, demanding answers while the digital glitches echoing through the arena crank up to a deafening roar. It is crystal clear now. This exam just threw the rulebook completely out the window. An ominous system alert instantly echoes across the entire battlefield, confirming that by wiping out enough mobs, a secret condition has just been unlocked. The rookies freeze in absolute panic. They just accidentally spawned the boss. Flocks of birds aggressively scatter from the canopy as a gigantic shadow swallows the tree line, plunging the entire clearing into pitch-black darkness. Before the Goblin King even steps out, a suffocating wave of pure toxic malice chokes the air. But Zhao Lin plants his feet firmly into the dirt, craning his neck up at the colossal nightmare that just stomped into the open space. The true fight for survival kicks off right now. This king is ready to splatter these tiny trespassers. And just when you thought this run could not get any more cursed, the Goblin King crashes the party. This hulking titan towers over the freshmen. His glowing radioactive yellow eyes lock onto them with absolute predatory hunger. He unleashes a nightmare-inducing roar that violently shakes the earth beneath their feet. The insane pressure radiating off him feels like a literal ton of bricks slamming into their chests, completely paralyzing the horrified students. The shockwave from his scream is so brutally intense that the kids scramble to clamp their hands over their ears. It genuinely feels like their eardrums are about to violently explode from the insane decibels. The archer girl violently grits her teeth, desperately fighting to stay on her feet in the middle of this chaos. The stat gap between these newbies and this boss is on a completely different terrifying spectrum. Meanwhile, Zhao Lin and Gu Zhaoyu refuse to budge. Their eyes remain deadlocked on the colossal walking disaster in front of them. But honestly, even with her god-tier stats, Gu Zhaoyu looks visibly rattled by the monster's suffocating vibe. Suddenly, a glowing system prompt flashes before them, confirming their absolute worst nightmare. This wasn't your average NPC grunt. We are talking the dungeon boss, the Goblin King himself, flexing a health bar, as ridiculously massive as his towering frame. Pure nightmare fuel was etched right into his twisted features. Jagged, overgrown horns and razor-sharp tusks jutted out from his skull. Catching just a single glimpse of those glowing neon eyes screamed one thing: they were totally cooked. But Zion Lin caught onto a glitch in the matrix. Every single low-level goblin had straight up dissolved into glowing blue code. The boss was purging the arena, setting up a brutal showdown, just the squad locked in a cage match against the king. The entire class froze, absolutely paralyzed by that colossal health meter floating menacingly above the beast's head. That thing stretched longer than their actual lifespans, instantly shattering any delusional hope. One dude completely snapped, screaming that he was tapping out before sprinting toward the exit. Zion lunged to pull him back, but the guy was too blinded by sheer terror to hear a single word. Our main guy instantly went into tactical mode, scanning the battlefield. He locked onto a crucial flaw in the monster's build. Their peripheral vision was straight up garbage, meaning if they played it smart, they could totally cheese his blind spots. Unfortunately, the devs buffed this boss with insanely overpowered hearing and smell to compensate. These weren't just some brainless aggro mobs. They were ultimate apex predators, hardwired to track and shred anyone, and that fleeing student's chaotic sprinting, it instantly pulled all of the Goblin King's aggro right onto him. The behemoth cast a massive shadow over the terrified kid, winding up a lethal strike fully ready to turn this runner into a permanent stain on the dungeon pavement. Just as it was about to go down, Wang Dalin crashed the scene, blasting his usual. He roared at the crew to quit acting like a bunch of trembling noobs, claiming they could easily wipe the boss if they just blitzed him all at once. Riding off his own hype, the musclehead pushed forward, hoisting his massive blade into the air. He launched a heavy-hitting strike straight at the monster's dome, totally convinced his maxed-out physical stats were all he needed to secure the dub. But those neon-glowing eyes locked onto his rushing trajectory with absolutely chilling precision. The Titan barely even registered the puny human's pathetic attempt at dealing damage. He just stood there like a stone wall, calculating the exact millisecond. In a literal blur, the boss whipped out a devastating front kick, burying his foot deep into the dude's gut. A gut-wrenching, bone-rattling crack echoed across the arena, shutting down Wang Dalin's hyper-aggressive rush before it even started. A massive localized shockwave blasted outward from the brutal collision, shredding the very air around them like paper. The insane kinetic energy packed into that single hit literally vibrated the surrounding woods right down to the bedrock. Wang Dalin hacked up a pathetic gasp, completely airborne as he got yeeted backward. His heavy blade slipped from his trembling hands, completely useless against the absolute god-tier power of the raid boss. The second he slammed into the dirt, his physical form immediately glitched out into a swarm of blue digital particles. He was officially eliminated from the survival test, leaving the surviving students dangerously exposed. Pure chaos infected the ranks as reality sank in. Fast, their ultimate heavy hitter just got casually one-shotted. Kids scrambled in every direction, shrieking as pure survival instinct took the wheel. Their fragile defensive line totally crumbled to dust. Loving the taste of fear, the Goblin King unleashed an ear-splitting battle cry. He violently launched himself toward a fresh cluster of shaking rookies, fully locked in and ready to send the rest of this lobby straight back to the spawn point. The beast brought its heavy foot down, stomping a classmate straight into the dirt. Zero mercy. This supposed training run just morphed into a straight-up fight for survival. That towering green giant swung his massive tree trunk of a weapon, launching kids across the battlefield like literal toys. It was an absolute wipeout, and nobody packed the firepower to pause this terrifying rampage. Even the elite sniper of the class couldn't dodge the shockwave. The impact violently slammed her against the ground. This exam had officially plummeted into sheer nightmare fuel. Looming over the fallen sniper, the Goblin King cast a deeply terrifying shadow that practically screamed game over. Pinned to the floor, she just froze in pure panic, watching the boss wind up for a devastating finisher. But right on cue, a wicked blast of purple magic smashed straight into the giant's arm. The shock attack completely stunned the massive brute, twisting its ugly face into a look of absolute fury. Glancing at the system display, seeing the boss's ridiculously huge health bar was giving everyone major anxiety. Snapping out of it, the lucky sniper scrambled upright, desperately booking it out of the kill zone before the beast could strike again. Gu Ziyu fiercely clenched her jaw, totally tilted that her spell only grazed its arm. She instantly realized that raw stats meant nothing if she couldn't hit a clean critical shot on such an insanely fast target. Her brain went into overdrive decoding the boss mechanics. Chipping away at its limbs was a waste of time. To actually drop this raid boss, she had to strike its weak points. She mentally flashed back to her initial game plan. She banked on the frontliners holding aggro while she blasted from the back, but the reality check hit super hard. Their whole formation shattered the second the other kids bolted to save their own skins. Now Gu Ziyu was completely stranded in the war zone, standing solo against the overwhelming, terrifying presence of the Goblin King. Thud, 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 the monster closed the gap on the cornered mage. Her setup was way too optimistic, and now she was eating the consequences for totally misjudging this dungeon level. The Goblin King hoisted its heavy club, fixing those toxic yellow eyes on her like she was a late-night snack. Gu Ziyu locked her stance, but her violently shaking hands exposed how terrified she actually was. A split second before the hammer dropped, Zhao Lin's voice exploded across the chaos. He yelled at her to dodge, absolutely refusing to watch their top-tier mage get flattened like an insect. But our boy didn't just stand back and bark orders. He launched himself forward, his eyes sparking with an intense icy blue energy. Pushing his speed to the absolute limit, he dove straight in to block that deadly incoming smash. The Goblin King unleashed an ear-splitting roar, deeply triggered that some tiny human dared to interrupt his hunt. Grinding its teeth, the beast violently whipped its club around to delete this new annoyance. Zhao Lin's blade collided hard with the monster's brute force weapon, igniting a blinding shower of sparks right at the point of impact. He wasn't stupid enough to try and outmuscle the giant. His only goal was deflecting the hit just long enough for Gu Ziyu to bail out of the red zone. Touching down safely, Zhao Lin rapidly decoded the boss's attack pattern for the squad. He figured out the king's aggro system was super basic. It automatically targeted whoever was standing closest to it. Stepping up as the shot caller, he started barking out high-tier tactical orders to rally the panicked team. "Cut the panic," he barked, ordering the squad to focus on kiting the behemoth. His goal to buy just enough time to orchestrate. Anchored by his rock-solid command, the archer girl finally snapped out of her paralyzing fear. With a fierce nod, she swore to grab the creature's aggro and buy them every precious second she could. Whipping around to Gu Zhaoyu, Zhao Lin ordered her to unleash her heaviest spells and completely melt the monster's health. Out of nowhere, they actually had a solid strategy to survive this hellish simulation. The duo synced up perfectly, the archer drawing back her bowstring while Zhao Yu channeled a surge of crackling magic. For the first time since this nightmare started, a tiny spark of hope pierced the absolute chaos. A brutal storm of piercing arrows and arcane blasts crashed violently into the Goblin King's chest. Seeing his chunky health bar finally dip proved one massive thing: this titan could bleed and he could be killed. The beast's colossal club whiffed, smashing into empty dirt as the archer let out a triumphant scream. Against all odds, their clutch teamwork was actually pushing back the boss's god-tier power. "Don't let up," Zhao Lin roared, pushing them to keep the offensive flowing. He knew that giving this monstrosity even a second to breathe would mean an instant game over. They had locked into a flawless rhythm, but surviving this raid was still a massive long shot. Pushed to the absolute brink, the Goblin King unleashed a blood-curdling, rage-fueled roar. This wasn't some low-level mob. He was a literal king, and he refused to go down without a bloodbath. The giant threw his tree trunk arms high into the air. He was charging up for an absolutely devastating ground slam. The very air around him warped and hummed with pure apocalyptic energy as he prepped his ultimate attack. Bam! The boss obliterated the earth, launching a vicious shockwave that ripped straight through the bedrock. Shrapnel exploded everywhere as the cratering impact shredded their entire formation in a split second. Zhao Lin screamed out a desperate warning, but the attack was way too fast. The brutal kinetic blast slammed directly into the archer. It launched her through the air like a ragdoll, instantly wiping out the rest of the squad. Standing over the wreckage, the Goblin King loomed like a hulking green mountain of pure malice. Rocking long black braids and glowing predatory yellow eyes, he was dead set on slaughtering the survivors. Now, it was just Zhao Lin and Gu Zhaoyu left standing against this raid boss. They stood shoulder to shoulder, completely surrounded by the smoking ruins of their team. 2 rookies, 1 legendary monster, and a completely wiped out class. Gu Zhaoyu shot our boy a terrified glance, her voice shaking, as she asked if they even had a shot at surviving. With the entire squad deleted, their win condition felt practically impossible to her. Zhao Lin kept his cool, barely stopping himself from dropping hardcore gamer slang in the heat of the moment. He snapped a quick question about her remaining mental stamina, needing an exact count on how many energy orbs she could still blast. Gripping her staff until her knuckles turned white, she confessed she only had enough gas for 2 more shots. It was a pathetic amount of ammo, but in a do-or-die moment like this, they had to make it work. He revealed that headshots would trigger massive critical damage, but she was low-key panicking about the monster's insane agility. Landing a clean hit felt impossible when their target was darting around like a blur of sheer green fury. Zhao Lin just flashed a cocky smirk, his eyes narrowing with icy absolute confidence. If the freak was too fast to snipe, he'd just have to force it into a corner and lock it down completely. At that exact second, he finally popped his hidden broken talent academic prodigy. His irises flared with a blinding neon blue aura as the holographic system interface snapped into view. The warm-up was over. Our boy was finally taking the gloves off. The system instantly scanned the boss, locking onto its signature shockwave ability. This F-rank skill dished out insane burst damage and slammed a full 3-second stun on anyone caught in the blast zone, making it a certified run killer. Memories of his brutal past flashed through his mind. He vividly recalled the Endless Mockery Society labeling him a total scrub and writing off his one-of-a-kind talent as absolute garbage. But the narrative was about to flip. Pitch-black energy violently spiraled around his body. Zhao Lin claimed this domain as his own personal battleground. The days of being a bottom-tier rookie were officially dead. He had evolved into a big-brain tactician, wielding a literal game-breaking power. A crisp system ping confirmed the ultimate steal, the Goblin King's devastating shockwave ability, was now locked and loaded. The monster's signature nuke rested right in the palm of his hands. Our guy braced himself to completely hijack the momentum of this raid. An icy azure glow bleeds from Zhao Lin's eyes as he locks onto the Goblin King. He isn't merely hunting for a blind spot. He is dissecting the boss's attack patterns with hardcore sweat-level precision. The towering beast hoists its massive arms, vacuuming up a lethal dose of energy for a catastrophic slam. Without a single trace of hesitation, Zhao Lin full sprints into the danger zone while the concrete splinters beneath his boots. His mental math is absolutely flawless. Factoring in the Goblin King's bulky frame, he figures the monster's animation sequence will drag way longer than his own. Armed with the pirated skill, he bets his entire life that his cast animation will drop first. A holographic interface flares up as Zhao Lin detonates the hijacked shockwave, his pupils pinhole hyperfixating on the exact pixel required to cancel the boss's ultimate. The twin shockwaves smash together mid-flight, unleashing a blinding hurricane of sparks. Zhao Lin's sword deadlocks against the Goblin King's raw muscle, shooting bone-rattling shockwaves straight up his forearms. A colossal supernova of light detonates. The parry is a massive success. Totally blindsided, the Goblin King eats the blowback of its own kinetic blast and staggers backward. The behemoth screeches in pure, unadulterated rage. Radioactive fallout pulses across its armor as it clumsily loses its footing. For one split second, the Titan drops its guard, serving up the exact window of opportunity Zhao Lin was starving for. Zhao Lin violently plunges his blade into the dirt, anchoring himself against the brutal tremors. He is gasping for air. The physical recoil of spamming an overpowered tier skill is violently shredding his stamina. He snatches a microsecond to gulp down some oxygen. A smirk tugs at his lips. His galaxy brain read was dead on. His brain is already crunching the next wave of stats, ruthlessly plotting out his next major play. But the Goblin King shakes off the stun wave quicker than anticipated. It immediately revs up for round 2. Zhao Lin checks his heads-up display. The shockwave ability carries a brutal 30-second cooldown, and he is still agonizingly 22 seconds away from another cast. The atmosphere sizzles with toxic purple lightning as the raid boss charges up a lethal combo attack. A sonic boom of pure aura sweeps the zone, forcing the rookies to frantically scramble for their lives. Holding the backline, Gu Zhaoyu stands her ground, her magic staff blindingly bright with raw mana. She unleashes absolute hell, aggressively raining down relentless strikes of arcane lightning onto the Goblin King. The beast's massive HP bar is slowly but surely getting chunked down. Even while dealing damage, her mind is blown. She literally cannot fathom how a low-stat underdog like Zhao Lin just casually canceled a raid boss's ultimate. But she was running completely on fumes, aggressively fighting against total burnout. She struggles to keep her staff from shaking, locking in for one last desperate snipe. The Goblin King's health bar is flashing absolute red, and the monster is officially losing its mind. It readies to slam its colossal bulk right onto the stubborn freshman, ruining its day. The heavyweight boss hoists a massive boulder, aiming to flatten everything breathing. Zhao Lin is backed into a dead end, and his skill cooldown is painfully frozen at 16 seconds. With zero room to dodge, he clenches his jaw and commits to eating the damage raw. Running isn't an option. He is surviving this no matter how much it hurts. The massive rock crashes down, but our boy plants his feet and holds the line. He burns through the very last drops of his mana to shield against the bone-crushing impact. Neon digital shards explode into the air as he takes the brutal strike straight to the chest. Guziao screams his name as a massive cloud of dust and rubble swallows him entirely. Panic grips her, terrified that he actually just got wiped off the map. Slowly, the heavy smoke starts to clear, revealing the towering Goblin King gloating right over the blast zone. For a split second, the beast looks totally smug, admiring its own destruction. But then Zhao Lin steps straight out of the debris. Beat-up clothes shredded, but completely unfazed, he flashes a sign that he is still in the game. That brutal cooldown timer finally ticks down to 10 agonizing seconds. The boss winds up its fists for another massive shockwave, but Zhao Lin realizes he has been pushed way out of range. If he doesn't close that distance right now, his skill won't even scratch the attack. He instantly launches into a high-speed all-or-nothing sprint, sliding straight under the monster's massive center of mass. Just 3 agonizing seconds left on the clock before he can pop his move. He chokes up on the hilt with both hands, the cold steel violently humming as the energy maxes out. It is an insane gamble, and it has to pay out right this second. The timer hits absolute zero. Zhao Lin violently triggers his shockwave right in the monster's face. Blinding purple energy erupts instantly, canceling out the Goblin King's desperate final smash. The system flashes, confirming copy shockwave. The sheer force of the point-blank crash literally shatters the air around them. Zhao Lin screams for Guziyu, ordering her to blast the boss while it is completely stunned and wide open. Without hesitating for a single heartbeat, Guziyu dumps every ounce of her remaining magic right into her staff. A blinding laser-focused beam rips through the air, locked dead onto the giant target. The strike connects flawlessly, and the Goblin King's health bar instantly tanks to zero. The massive beast shatters into glowing blue pixels, officially ending its brutal reign. A massive wave of system notifications instantly floods Zhao Lin's vision. The boss is officially toast, and that hidden optional mission is totally cleared. He just stands there, catching his breath inside the glowing digital fallout. The insane tension finally melts out of his shoulders. His legs turn to jelly, and his heavy blade clatters loudly against the dirt. The combat high vanishes in a heartbeat, leaving him completely drained. Zhao Lin slowly processes the crazy clutch win, while Guziao hurries over. They actually just folded the absolute hardest boss of the entire tutorial. He totally flops back onto the grass, absolutely wiped out, his vision blurring from the sheer physical burnout. Guziao stares down at him, her face completely caught between pure shock and heavy concern. Through the haze, Zhao Lin realizes there is zero chance he can tackle the final mission in this busted state. The camera aggressively cuts to a sleek, high-tech briefing room, buried deep inside the academy. The academy's elite faculty huddles tightly around a sleek conference table. Their eyes remain glued to the glowing holograms of this year's freshman stats. Taking a deep, slow drag from his cigarette, the admissions minister exhales a thick cloud of smoke. He scrutinizes the incoming class's combat evaluations with a razor-sharp gaze. It's time to drop the ultimate verdict on this fresh batch of meat. He announces that 1,360 rookies have officially locked in, scattered across 12 distinct sections. The power scale is completely all over the place, with more than half of these kids sitting down at rock bottom in F rank. But then he drops an absolute bombshell: a staggering 15 prodigies actually secured that God-tier S rank evaluation this time. That's a completely insane flex for just one single generation. Pure hype instantly electrifies the entire room. The instructors are completely losing it, totally mind-blown that they scored such a cracked lineup of first years. Wang Dalin kicks back in his chair, flashing a seriously arrogant smirk. He immediately starts bragging that his squad birthed 2 of those absolute beasts. A female teacher next to him sighs, pointing out her class snagged a duo too, though they barely scraped by with B ranks. Crushing his cigarette into the ashtray, the minister cuts through the chatter. He verifies that 13 top-tier heavy hitters are officially in the mix. He gives the staff a quick nod of respect for grinding through this brutal recruitment cycle. Meanwhile, instructor Qin Chuan rests his heavy head against his palm, looking completely defeated. It looks like his roster totally flatlined, failing to produce even one heavy hitter. The minister locks eyes with Qin Chuan, acknowledging that although Class 7 totally missed the safe zone threshold, they somehow shattered two monumental academy records. Qin Chuan shoots up genuinely stunned, racking his brain over what kind of crazy milestones his kids could have hit. The minister doesn't skip a beat, raising a single finger to emphasize the absolute madness of his next statement. He states that having two S rankers emerge from one class without a single drop of innate talent is straight up unprecedented. Swiping at the glowing displays behind him, he projects Class 7's wild metrics for everyone to see. He drops the first major bombshell. One of these rookies just obliterated the all-time highest intelligence stat ever seen in Academy history. Qin Chuan's jaw practically hits the floor as the second record is revealed. It's the complete opposite end of the spectrum. The absolute worst overall stat total ever clocked by a newbie since the school's foundation. The minister makes it clear these two bizarre extremes actually belong to those exact same tier students. This whole situation is so wildly unhinged that even the headmaster is personally keeping tabs on them. Flashing back to the academy corridors, the spatial warp finally disperses. Zion Lin stands shoulder to shoulder with the surviving recruits, feeling a massive rush as his shredded, pixelated wounds instantly stitch themselves back together. A glowing notification pops up, dropping his ultimate trial scores. He actually pulled it off, wiping out all three brutal tutorial phases. He bags a flawless overall S rank, cashing in on 40 credits and 800 sweet exchange points. Zion just glares intensely at the floating prompt, his head still spinning from the insane bloodbath. He swears he totally passed out, yet the system somehow registered his first objective as a success. That goal, crossing into the designated safe haven. From the corner of his eye, he spots Gu Zhaoyu striding by, completely cloaked in a chilling neon blue aura. Did she actually drag him out of that cave after he blacked out? He genuinely has no idea. A familiar voice suddenly echoes down the corridor, totally breaking his train of thought. That girl he saved during the goblin raid sprints right toward him, her face absolutely glowing with relief. She practically showers him and Gu Zhaoyu with endless gratitude. Without them securing that A-rank evaluation would have been completely impossible, and she knows it. Staring at her feet, she looks super humbled just to be breathing after. She completely admits feeling like dead weight once the shockwave knocked her out cold. But she is dying to know, did they actually slay the Goblin King after she passed out? Flashing a low-key smirk, Zhaolin confirms they absolutely finished the job. The girl practically vibrates with joy. Betting on their skills totally paid off. But an obnoxious scoff from the sidelines completely wrecks the vibe. Wang Dalin is standing right there looking ridiculously triggered by Zhaolin just breathing. He sneers loudly, claiming Zhaolin only survived purely on dumb luck. In his mind, a guy with such trash stats would have flatlined 100 times if he had not clung onto Gu Zhaoyu for dear life. But the hater instantly zips his lips the second Gu Zhaoyu herself steps up. Radiating her usual ice-cold energy, she breezes right past Dalin, locking her eyes straight on Zhaolin. She stops dead in her tracks in front of him, adjusting her glasses with that signature sharpness. No small talk. She straight up demands a private chat about the raid they just survived. The duo relocates to a dead silent corner of the corridor. Escaping the nosy stares of the other students, the air between them grows incredibly still. Yet the tension is suffocating, packed with major unasked questions. Breaking the ice. Gu Zhaoyu actually thanks him for the backup back in the safe zone. Zhaolin just shrugs it off, flashing a super casual grin. He plays it cool, calling it a basic win-win tactic just to maximize their loot. Nudging her frames up, she stares directly into his soul. She sees right through the act. If he had not cancelled the Goblin King's ultimate move, Zhaolin shuts up, instantly realizing this girl is way too sharp. He can literally see the gears grinding in her head as she calculates every single flex he pulled during the boss fight. She drops a massive truth bomb based purely on his raw stats. Mathematically speaking, it should have been physically impossible for him to stagger a boss like that. She openly admits she knows he is hiding something major, but she swears to keep her mouth shut if anyone comes snooping around. Rubbing the back of his neck, Zhaolin gives her a genuine heartfelt thanks. It is a massive relief knowing she isn't going to dig into his hidden talent or interrogate how he pulled off that insane stunt. Gu Zhaoyu whips out her ID plate and casually suggests they add each other as friends. She breaks down the smart brain tech integrated right into their tags. Basically, it serves as a super handy built-in messenger app. Zhaolin is totally down, so she starts walking him through the setup. She tells him to just think the word smart brain to launch his personal dashboard. He does exactly what she says. The second he focuses on the command, glowing blue pixels start swirling around him as the text syncs with his mind. Boom, his master profile pops up, displaying all of his active stats and hard-earned resources right in midair. He's sitting on a solid stash of points, but his raw stats are still tragically weak across the board. Gu Jiaoyo leans in asking for his student ID to drop a friend request. Flicking open his holographic panel, he rattles off his ID number for her. A crisp ping breaks the silence. A system prompt flashes Gu Jiaoyu wants to link their accounts. He smashes the accept button, officially locking in their digital bond. Just like that, he's scored his very first ally in this twisted new reality. Out of nowhere, a booming voice shatters the dead silence of the hall. Qin Chuan is posted up near the front, arms crossed, and looking seriously intense. He barks an order demanding every single F-rank failure to drag themselves to the entrance immediately. He doesn't spare the rest of the crowd, either snapping at them to stop loitering around. He orders the surviving crew to boot up their nav maps and march straight to the central playground. Qin Chuan's razor-sharp glare sweeps over the terrified freshman. He's dead set on making sure absolutely zero slackers fall behind. Zhao Lin and Gu Jiaoyo lock eyes for a split second before gearing up to move. Tossing her a subtle nod, Zhao Lin strides straight for the exit. Now that tutorial hell is finally wrapped up, he's dying to know what twisted games the Academy has lined up next. Keeping his pace, Zhao Lin projects his glowing map into the air. The route from the main lecture halls to the playground means they've got to slice right through the central courtyard. He shoots a low-key glance back at the intimidating instructor. His brain goes into overdrive trying to figure out what exactly that guy's endgame is. Was Qin Chuan stalking Gu Jiaoyu just because she pulled a broken S rank? Or did that hawk-eyed instructor actually spot something sketchy about Zhao Lin's own gameplay? They finally break out of the shadows and step right into the blinding daylight. A gargantuan Coliseum-level stadium and sprawling field stretches out in front of them. Thousands of clueless freshmen are already swarming the green turf under the blazing sun. Zhao Lin sweeps his gaze across the insanely massive mob. Seeing this endless ocean of faces actually hits him with a serious wave of claustrophobia. With this many kids completely vanishing from the real world at the exact same time, wouldn't that trigger some kind of massive global freakout? Gu Jiaoyo jogs up Bistin, tapping his shoulder to check if he's doing all right. He snaps back to reality, realizing he totally just spaced out in his own head. Make way. Someone barks, slicing right through the chaotic buzzing of the crowd. The sea of students splits wide open as elite upperclassmen step in to wrangle the massive horde. Leading the pack is a blue-haired guy, rocking a totally chill, intensely professional vibe. He orders everyone to lock into their squad formations and stop huddling like a flock of sheep. Striding up to the main stage, he's flanked by a squad of heavy-hitting academy staff. A glowing blue crystal hovers right above the stage, bathing the entire mob in an eerie, soft light. Flashing a perfectly calculated smile, he drops his title, the undisputed Student Council President. He steps up as the official hype man, welcoming the fresh meat to their very first real ceremony. As the crowd packs tightly into the stadium, an automated voice booms over the loudspeakers. The principal is currently missing in action, so they're kicking this chaotic party off without him. But then boom! A deafening, earth-shattering roar rips through the campus, completely drowning out the speakers. Zhao Lin's head snaps up, his eyes locking onto the sky as he senses some absolute monster barreling toward them. The whole field completely loses it. Panic explodes as kids point and scream at the rapidly growing noise. Everyone's heart drops into their stomach, terrified of what kind of nightmare could make a sound like that. A colossal amethyst-scaled dragon plummets from the sky. Its sprawling wings eclipse the sun, plunging the panicked rookies into pitch-black darkness. We are talking a straight-up mythic leviathan materializing right before their eyes. Zhao Lin's jaw, drops utterly shook as he glares up at the apex predator. Seeing a living, breathing dragon in high definition completely short-circuits his brain. This is light years away from his boring past life. The titan unhinges its massive jaws, unleashing a deafening, bone-vibrating shockwave. With blazing neon eyes and razor-sharp fangs, this monster looks ready to literally obliterate the entire courtyard in one gulp. Its suffocating aura instantly paralyzes the entire crowd. Zhao Lin is totally glued to the pavement, his muscles locked down by pure, unadulterated terror. Right next to him, the top-tier prodigy Gu Ziyu is literally trembling, her signature Ice Queen vibe completely shattering. She stands rigid as a board, her eyes dilated in that exact same primal dread hijacking everyone else's nervous system. Boom! The behemoth touches down near the faculty tables, kicking up a massive hurricane-force dust storm. Chilling like a boss on the beast's scaly back is an old dude rocking long, flowing white hair and an epic beard. He leaps off with a super chill grin, tossing out a casual apology for running late. He flexes about handling some errands on the way, treating his epic dragon ride like a totally normal Uber trip. Enter the head honcho of Dawn Academy, an absolute unit draped in heavy gray and violet wizard robes. He grips a towering staff loaded with glowing amethyst orbs, leaking an insane, suffocating level of mana. The student council priest, a blue-haired guy rocking a crisp vest, steps up. He greets the boss with a completely stressed-out look. He respectfully hints that the headmaster's grand entrance was way too extra for a basic orientation. The principal literally just rolls his eyes and scoffs. He snaps back that he did not surf a giant reptile just to flex having zero patience for the kid's stuck-up formalities. He was racing against the clock, and hijacking a dragon was the only way to beat the traffic. The legendary Drake actually looks triggered, totally annoyed that this old guy is treating it like a cheap rental car. He even brutally threatens to turn the beast into a custom leather couch if it keeps jump-scaring the freshmen. The mighty dragon whimpers out a pathetic little puff of smoke, totally terrified of this overpowered old man. Zhao Lin is laser-focused on this chaotic banter. He instantly clocks that this eccentric VIP is the only one with enough clearance to view his hidden stats. He realizes he needs to tread super carefully around someone packing this much lethal firepower. The headmaster suddenly spins around to face the mob. He drops that he has scanned the admission scores low-key, admitting that this year's rookie class is actually stacked. His piercing ice blue gaze sweeps the plaza. It literally feels like he is X-raying straight through their souls. A heavy, calculated stare that screams he is hunting for a very specific target. The pressure hits Zhao Lin like a ton of bricks, forcing his hyper-analytical brain into overdrive, trying to decode the man's real motive. Crash. The principal smashes the heel of his staff into the concrete. He triggers a massive audio-boosting spell. A blinding neon glyph ignites beneath his boots, sending raw energy rippling through the atmosphere. He decides to completely ditch the boring formalities and skips dropping his own name. He knows these kids have way more stressful things frying their brains right now. He straight up acknowledges that many of them got their academy invites out of nowhere. They arrived under some wildly confusing or straight up miserable circumstances. He totally gets why they are feeling incredibly salty about this whole ordeal. He tells them to redirect their hate mail to the admissions office for pulling up with acceptance letters at ungodly hours. He ruthlessly points out a nervously sweating faculty guy who can only manage a pathetic, shaky little salute in response. The rookies exchange shell-shocked glances, still digesting the old geezer's savage reality check. The rest are just sweating bullets, thanking their lucky stars they aren't dragon snacks. Then the principal flips the switch, his vibe turning absolutely freezing. He demands they cut the giggles and wake up to the brutal truth. Throwing his arms wide, he drops a massive bombshell about their actual destiny. They are not just sitting in classrooms anymore, they are hardcore colonizers. He unveils the name of their untamed frontier planet Norma. Massive holographic projections of bizarre monstrosities and endless wild territory. Dawn Academy has one brutal mission, forging the absolute elite pioneers to conquer this alien rock. Terrifying titans cast pitch-black shadows over the crowd while he preaches. A gut-wrenching preview of the nightmare fuel waiting for them out there. He hammers it home, their boring normal lives flatlined the second they ripped open those acceptance letters. Hitting the undo button is absolutely off the table. Starting right now, he hypes up how some of them could evolve into legendary warlords, bossing around massive armies and dominating endless new territories. Others might level up into god-tier grand magi, bending the core laws of magic and chasing absolute cosmic truths. He even flexes the idea that a few could become the literal kings who rewrite the rules of existence. The skill tree for supreme power is totally maxed out. The wild tease of infinite strength and eternal life sends the crowd into an absolute frenzy. For the underdogs, the loot hidden on planet Norma is a one-way ticket to a totally overpowered destiny. Finally, he shatters centuries of tradition by dropping a brand new game-changing rule. Normally, first years are hard-locked out of stepping foot in the new world. But the top 3 grinders in the upcoming exam will score VIP early access. The old man glares down at them, a crushing pressure in his eyes, proving he is dead serious. It is a massive cheat code to greatness, but the death flags are everywhere. The student council president steps up, desperately trying to pump the brakes, totally sweating over the survival rates of these clueless newbies. But one lethal glare from the principal makes him instantly choke on his words and backpedal. With the new meta locked in, the principal drops, the mic basically telling them to scram because he is completely out of patience. The president just gulps, bowing low before trailing behind him like a ghost. Zhao Lin hangs back, his gears turning as he dissects the president's major freakout. His spider sense tells him this early access reward is way more suicidal than the principal advertised. As the plaza empties out, a booming voice snags his attention. It is that heavy boss-level tone he knows all too well. He pivots to find Instructor Qin Chuan looming there, oozing rugged, terrifying energy. Zhao Lin mentally panics, wondering why a top-tier instructor would corner the guy with the most trash stats on campus. Xin Xuan wastes zero time breaking down the drama. Since the ultimate sweat Guo Zhaoyu dodged the Class 7 monitor gig, the job cascaded down the leaderboard, right into Zhao Lin's lap. He barks at Zhao Lin to snap out of it and listen up. Wearing the monitor badge unlocks crazy buffs, bonus credits, exclusive resource drops, and heavy VIP perks. A glowing holographic pop-up seals the deal, hovering right where Qin Chuan points. For a zero-stat deadweight like him, bagging this role is a massive clutch for survival. The instructor just shoos him away, muttering that the AI will airdrop the rookie guide, and he better hustle up and figure it out himself. Zhao Lin stands dead center on the sprawling field, totally alone. That heavy word privileges bounces around his skull, leaving him wondering what kind of insane doors just unlocked for him. He pivots and heads straight for the student dorms. An absolutely massive fortress of a residential complex which will be his home base while grinding at Dawn Academy. Posted up at the reception desk is a short-haired brunette sophomore named Zhang Tingting, who's busy laying down the law, drilling the ultra-strict curfew rules into the clueless freshman. When Zhao Lin rolls up, she hits him with a totally iced-out dismissive glare, visibly writing him off as just another zero-tier newbie. But the absolute second she scans his ID, her eyes literally light up with major hype. Realizing this guy is actually the top dog class monitor, she pulls a massive 180, buttering him up, giving his shoulder a quick tap and swearing up and down that anybody who secures a monitor spot has to be built. Zhao Lin just watches silently as she slides his fresh uniforms across the counter, pointing out that his specific grade level is flexed by the crisp green fabric. She personally escorts him upstairs to his room, a VIP single suite strictly reserved for monitors, making sure to brag that every other student is stuck cramming into a shared double. She tosses him a heavy gold ID tag, dropping a serious warning to never lose track of it, because that little piece of metal is his lifeline. Throwing him a playful wink, Ting Ting steps up and offers to be his personal mentor, telling him to slide into her DMs or hit her up whenever he needs the inside scoop on surviving campus life. As she flashes a goodbye wave, Zhao Lin mentally notes the insane switch-up in her vibe. The literal millisecond she clocked his high-ranking monitor status. Crashing in his new room, it hits him hard. At this academy, raw power and status absolutely dictate your worth. Deciding it is time to grind, he fires up his holographic course schedule to start mapping out his academic survival plan. An overwhelmingly massive wall of classes instantly projects into the air, featuring everything from beginner blade combat to the hardcore geography and native languages of the New World. Zhao Lin glares at the glowing interface, his jaw practically hitting the floor when he registers the absolute mountain of coursework he's expected to juggle. A nervous, icy sweat starts dripping down his neck, reeling from the fact that on top of his mandatory classes, he still has to lock in 4 additional attribute-focused electives. Taking a deep breath, he violently forces his racing heart to chill out, reminding himself that even though this workload is entirely unhinged, his secret prodigy talent makes he knows straight up that his trash-tier base stats are a massive fatal liability. So his only real play is to min-max those stats as insanely fast as humanly possible. That insane 100% learning speed buff from his prodigy trait is his ultimate trump card, and he knows he absolutely cannot afford to fumble a single drop of its god-tier potential. He quickly locks in basic swordsmanship as his main combat focus, figuring a blade is the most flexible safety net for a guy starting out with absolutely zero combat experience. He stacks the rest of his schedule with physical arts and deep meditation, aiming to hardcore buff both his tankiness and his mental stamina. The glowing menu finally updates, locking in his ultimate loadout, which officially includes general history and the universal language of Norma. With his brutal class schedule completely locked and loaded, Zhao Lin tightly clenches his fists, completely hardening his resolve, knowing deeply that inside these walls, raw power is the only currency that actually matters. The very next morning, Zhao Lin is already posted up at the swordsmanship training grounds, ready to grind. Thwack! Thwack! The brutal crunch of training blades smashing against wooden dummies rings out across the yard. Our boy is totally locked in, pouring absolute focus into every single slash, watching his basic swordsmanship XP steadily rack up with every single impact. His broken prodigy talent is firing on all cylinders, mapping out the absolute perfect angle for every swing and literally doubling his grind speed. He keeps swinging like an absolute machine, knowing that if he just nails these core mechanics down, his growth rate is going to completely skyrocket. Ding! A crisp system alert flashes basic swordsmanship level 3. On top of that, his core strength stat just leveled up, from 2 straight to 3. Zhao Lin finally stops to take a breather, a smirk crossing his face. His crazy theory was totally spot on. Grinding out skill masteries is the absolute fastest cheat code to jack up his raw stats. Just a few feet away, some random freshman completely faceplants into the dirt, sobbing that he is totally cooked, and his arms feel like literal dead weight. Smash! A massive broadsword shatters the stone pavement as a vicious voice roasts the absolute pathetic performance of this year's rookies. Enter Chung-na, a purple-haired junior stepping up as their absolutely terrifying substitute instructor. She is a ruthless coach who will not settle for anything less than pure perfection. She lays down the law. Nobody is leaving this yard until their blade skills hit level 3, totally blanking the pathetic whimpers of the kid hugging the wooden dummy for dear life. The whole class instantly drops into pure panic mode, knowing full well that just hitting level 2 requires hours of endless agonizing grinding. Zhao Lin just casually strolls straight up to this terrifying upperclassman, looking totally unfazed even though he is dripping in sweat. He drops the bomb that he already knocked out the level 3 requirement, casually asking for a pass so he can bounce to his next class. Chung-na shoots him a massive side-eye, crossing her arms as she scans this painfully average-looking freshman. She basically laughs in his face, asking if he is seriously trolling, reminding him it has literally only been 2 hours into day 1 of the semester. She completely towers over our guy, her eyes just dripping with absolute disgust. She refuses to believe this lucky scrub with garbage stats actually leached his way to an S-rank team evaluation. She glares daggers at him, totally calling cap on his level 3 claim. To her, this is just a horribly weak play from a lazy newbie trying to ditch the grind. Zhao Lin does not even flinch. He just shrugs and tells her to pull up his status panel if she thinks he is bluffing. He totally holds his own against her overwhelming, terrifying aura. Cheng-ni just smirks, completely waving off the idea of checking some boring digital screen. She has got a much more brutal hands-on method to check what he is really made of. A blood-red warning siren blares across the visual UI, flashing that the instructor is actively overriding the system with elite teaching permissions. The whole vibe of the training yard snaps from tiring to instantly deadly. The ultimate combat sim kicks online, completely glitching out reality as the entire surroundings digitize. Cheng-na shifts into a battle stance, while the very ground warps into an absolute nightmare landscape. Zhao Lin is instantly warped into a toxic purple void. He tightens his grip on his blade as a massive pile of skeletal remains starts to twitch and shift, just inches away from his face. Cheng-na goes through a wicked boss-level transformation, her entire body locking into jagged, terrifying bone armor. She brandishes a massive glowing serrated greatsword that makes Zhao Lin's little starter weapon look like a total joke. The sim kicks into high gear, dropping them into a sprawling wasteland choked by a literal mountain of human skulls. Colossal cage-like ribs cast long shadows across the dirt as the system chimes its twisted welcome. She flexes that this brutal arena cost an absolute fortune to build, specifically designed to mirror the unforgiving nightmare of the netherworld. Against this jagged bone-crusted skyline, Zhao Lin looks incredibly small. She promises he won't actually bite the dust in here, though her tone is straight-up chilling, looming right behind him like a grim reaper. Her face twists into an icy predatory smirk. She drops a heavy warning death might be fake, but every single ounce of agony he endures will be 100% real. The shattered earth splits open as skeletons claw their way to the surface, their eye sockets burning with a toxic purple glow. Cheng-na flashes a sadistic grin, clearly thrilled with the ridiculous amount of points she burned to orchestrate this trap. Taunting him, she dares the kid to prove that level 3 sword mastery in a live bloodbath while a massive undead army mobilizes at her back. Zhao Lin snaps his head around. He's totally boxed in. The unhinged instructor literally kicks back on a throne of solid bone. She gazes down at the brewing slaughter. These rotting grunts, she casually points out, pack the exact same punch as the goblins he butchered during the entrance exam. Then she drops a massive incentive: clear this hellscape, and he gets a permanent hall pass from her class. Period. Whoosh! Zhao Lin drops low, narrowly dodging a giant rusted meat cleaver. A glowing blue screen pops up, locking in the ultimate ultimatum. Stay breathing for 40 minutes, or slaughter 20 of these boneheads. Clenching his jaw, Zhao Lin tightens his grip on his weapon as the absolute chaos kicks off. Cold sweat drips down his face. This teacher is genuinely out of her mind, tossing a first-year student into a death trap just for a basic skill check, completely unhinged. Checking his inventory, he realizes he is stuck holding a garbage tier iron dagger. Worse, his physical attack stat is sitting at a brutal rank E. The odds are insanely stacked against him. Roaring, the undead mob rushes him, swinging heavily corroded blades. He's got 2 paths to victory here, and both of them suck. Route 1, play dead and burn the clock. Just turtle up, dodge like crazy, and pray he survives the timer. He ducks hard, evading a nasty horizontal slash that completely obliterates the space he just stood in. Or he chooses absolute violence. A towering monster eclipses him, lifting a jagged blade for the kill. In a flash, he moves with terrifying agility. His dinky dagger carves flawlessly through the monster's brittle ribcage. Forget playing defense, he is officially the predator now. A swift decapitation secures his first victim, making the kill tracker on his display jump to 1. His eyes dart across the battlefield, instantly locking onto his next target. Swatting away a barrage of strikes, he rapidly calculates his winning formula. Target the joints. 40 flawless lethal strikes will bag him the 20 kills he needs. An eerie neon blue light sparks in his eyes as he taps straight into the zone. He is fully committed to overriding his garbage stats with raw god tier technique. Lounging on her morbid throne, Chung-na is secretly hyped that this rookie actually had the nerve to rush headfirst into a meat grinder. This wasn't exactly her script. She fully expected him to burst into tears and beg for his life the second the dirt started shifting. But nah, he is actually throwing down. She dissects his combat rhythm, realizing that his footwork and blade trajectory aren't just lucky, they are ridiculously clean. Despite rocking absolute garbage-based stats, this dude knows exactly how to generate explosive power. Zhao Lan moves like liquid, slicing through the undead mob with razor-sharp instincts and terrifying precision. A blur of violet energy erupts as he drops another skeletal soldier with absolute surgical accuracy. Watching from above, Chung-na instantly clocks that he is miles ahead of your average scrub. Most rookies just spam their basic attacks and pray. But Zhao Linhe is hard, carrying his weak build with pure god-tier mechanics. Still, the burnout is real. He is desperately gasping for oxygen, his shirt completely soaked in sweat as the physical toll kicks in. He is totally redlining his own body, pulling out every sweaty trick in the book just to stay alive. Racking up 13 solo eliminations is basically a miracle considering his pathetic level. But reality hits hard when he blocks the next strike, his arms violently trembling from the impact. With 28 minutes still ticking on the clock, our boy is practically running on fumes. An endless wave of bone walkers completely boxes him in. His blade suddenly feels like it weighs a solid ton. Bama Mob lands a brutal strike, sending a massive shockwave of agony straight through his shoulder. He bites back a groan, the room spinning out of focus as pure exhaustion takes the wheel. Chung-na suddenly shoots up from her bone throne, barking across the arena. She yells at him to cut the act and face reality. In her mind, the kid has already flexed way more than necessary to prove his worth. She demands he swallow his pride and tap out before he gets absolutely wrecked. Instead of replying, Zhao Lin just glares at the dirt, heavily using his sword as a makeshift crutch. Then boom, a bright system prompt suddenly crashes into his vision. Skill triggered, heavy/level 1. His eyes snap wide open, blazing with a totally unhinged and lethal energy. He rips a colossal wave of violet aura through the air, completely shredding the monster frontline into bone dust. Just like that, his elimination tracker skyrockets to 16 in one insane explosion of pure force. Chung-na is totally shook, her jaw dropping to the floor as she instantly identifies his crazy move. Her brain literally short-circuits, trying to figure out how a day 1 newbie unlocked a high-tier skill like Heavy Slash. Meanwhile, Zhao Lin goes totally sicko mode, morphing into a chaotic blur of purple steel. The elimination tracker goes absolutely crazy, ticking up way faster than you can even blink. 17, 18, 19. He is literally slicing through the undead mob like a hot knife through butter. Burning his very last drop of stamina, he brutally buries his blade straight into the final skull. The scoreboard locks in at 20 out of 20, flashing a massive win for the dungeon quest. He immediately slumps violently, sucking in air, as the chaotic battlefield finally drops into dead silence. Behind him, Chung-na just stares in silence, her actual vibe totally hidden beneath that creepy bone helmet. Panting heavily, he throws a cocky look over his shoulder. "Senior, that requirement, consider it crushed." Towering over him, she silently studies the completely wiped out freshman at her feet. It finally clicks. His S-rank pull was not some lucky glitch. This kid actually has the cracked mechanics to back it up. Cut to the ultra-modern headquarters of the campus student council. Inside, a stressed assistant with mint green hair violently slams a massive pile of paperwork onto the main desk. The icy blue-haired council president finally pauses his grind and glances up. Tapping nervously on a specific folder, the assistant looks like she just saw a ghost. She urgently tells the boss he really needs to check out this wildly One of the newbies picked a totally unhinged class lineup. She mutters, desperately gripping the file like her life depends on it. The student council prez sinks into his leather chair, his eyes glued to the screen displaying Xiaolin's profile. His jaw practically hits the floor. This crazy freshman actually went ahead and queued up literally every single class the academy offers. Cut to 12:04 in the afternoon, inside the Dawn Academy medbay. The vibe inside the infirmary is ridiculously tense. Chung Na and the Prez are going head-to-head, totally beefing. She claps back, insisting she wasn't trying to wreck the kid, but throwing him into the fire mid-lecture was a necessary stress test. Nana, we both know this isn't your first time running newbies through the meat grinder. The president sighs, keeping his cool. Chung Na instantly fires back, daring him to call out her brutal teaching style right to her face. He pinches the bridge of his nose, letting out a heavy exhale. Listen, these rookies literally just spawned in, he warns. You seriously need to chill with the overkill. Meanwhile, Xiaolin is knocked out cold, flatlining on the futuristic hospital bed right behind their shouting match. But Chung Na isn't backing down an inch. Doubling down that trial by fire is the only way to forge real survivors. In her eyes, babying a bunch of weaklings is what actually gets them killed out there. The student council Priest shuts his eyes, looking massively drained by her brick wall energy. Catching his drift, Chung Na breaks eye contact. Her icy glare melts just a fraction, even though she keeps her mouth zipped. Right on cue, Xiaolin groans out loud, his eyelids peeling open as a wave of pure agony hits him. The Prez instantly leans over, catching the rookie pulling himself out of the abyss. Chung Na stays planted at the foot of the mattress, arms tightly crossed, watching like a hawk. Xiaolin peels himself off the sheets, heavily scanning the glowing sci-fi looking room. Welcome to the land of the living, the Prez smirks, bragging that the Academy's healing tech is straight up god tier. He breaks it down for the newbie. Full immersion zones aren't your basic run-of-the-mill dungeons. Your physical and mental stamina don't just magically refill when you log out. That brutal fatigue totally drags back into the real world. Interlocking his fingers, he drops the truth bomb. Xiaolin's brain basically blue-screened from absolute burnout. So how are we holding up? He checks in, flashing a warm, reassuring smile. Xiaolin rolls his stiff shoulder, admitting he is back online, but his muscles are screaming like he just got hit by a truck. The Prez chuckles, telling him to lay back and soak up some more downtime. He shoots the freshman a solid "you got this" kind of look. Pivoting back to the fiery instructor, he drops the Nana nickname again, politely kicking her out so they can talk off the record. Her face instantly scrunches up in pure, unadulterated irritation. She aggressively chews her bottom lip, visibly fighting the urge to drop a massive verbal nuke. Ugh, whatever. I am out, she bites back, whipping around and storming straight toward the exit. Her tactical boots violently stomp against the tiles, echoing through the room as she bails. But mid-stride, she hits the brakes, throwing a sharp glare over her shoulder. Yo, rookie, she barks, snapping Xiaolin to attention. She lets him know she actually backs up her talk. That early dismissal perk he wanted, 100% greenlit. But her voice drops an octave, getting dead serious to drop a heavy warning. Anyone who tries to run a hybrid build maxing out, dropping that reality check, she steps into the hallway and violently slams the sliding door behind her, rattling the walls. Xiaolin stares at the rattling metal, a weird realization hitting him. Honestly, this psycho senior isn't the absolute raging demon everyone claims she is. The Prez dramatically clears his throat. Playtime is over, and he shifts the vibe right back to business mode. He calls the kid out, asking if he even bothered to skim the survival guide. The manual literally screams at you not to hoard too many classes at once. A massive holographic menu flickers on, highlighting the pure physical skill tree. We are talking hardcore blade mastery, insane agility, buffs, and grinding raw strength. A second holographic screen flares up, revealing the magic path packed with mind-bending meditation hexes and hyper-awareness skills. The president concedes that grinding both paths definitely gives rookies a massive head start during freshman year. It basically turns a student into a versatile powerhouse, ready to counter, but he drops a heavy reality check once the coursework levels up. Those skill trees shatter into every single branch explodes into hundreds of hyper-specific grueling subclasses. By sophomore and junior year, maxing out both builds would demand 6 or 7 times the grinding of an average student. He likens the entire system to a massive sprawling skill tree, fracturing into impossibly complex webs the deeper you dive. Xiaolin does not even blink. I am well aware, he shoots back. His eyes lock onto the president, burning with absolute unshakable resolve. But I am still going to risk it, he declares, totally unfazed. He tightens his grip, surging with confidence, knowing his elite tier talent gives him the ultimate hack to pull off the impossible. Suddenly, a crisp ping cuts the tension as a sleek digital alert pops up. The president glances down, his eyes widening, at a direct high-priority message from the headmaster himself. The council leader freezes dead in his tracks. He squints at the glowing text, completely caught off guard by the sudden intrusion. All right then, freshman Xiaolin, he sighs, pivoting his attention back to the stubborn rookie. Since the big boss just greenlit your crazy schedule, I will drop the lecture. He explains they have got to completely overhaul the system to fit his dual classing, promising a fresh timetable by tomorrow morning. Still chilling on the infirmary cot, Xiaolin throws him a nod, thanking the upperclassman for the massive carry. But internally, Shaolin lowers his gaze, his brow pinching with heavy suspicion. He questions how the headmaster's text dropped at that exact picture-perfect second. It is genuinely creepy, almost like someone has been tracking his every single move through hidden cameras. Cut to the outside, where the golden hour paints the massive, awe-inspiring grounds of Dawn Academy. High up in the ultra-luxurious headmaster's suite, a cloaked figure, he is posted up right in front of massive floor-to-ceiling stained glass. The extravagant window offers a god's-eye view of the entire academy campus below. The principal, a seasoned veteran rocking long white hair and a wizard-like beard, stares out with dead, exhausted eyes. Suddenly, a super upbeat, teasing voice shatters the heavy silence. The mysterious girl asks why he is looking so incredibly depressed right now. Materializing from a glitchy cloud of glowing pixels, she spawns right into the room. Meet the Dawn Academy Central Main Control System AI, the literal supercomputer brain of the school. She manifests as an anime-style teen, flexing silver pigtails and piercing neon red eyes. She completely roasts the old man, begging him to spill his tragic drama so she can laugh at his pain. The headmaster shoots a tired side-eye at the chaotic little hologram. He casually points out that she has been binge-watching way too much Blue Star anime culture recently. The rogue AI just spins mid-air, her virtual white dress swirling around her like a magical girl transformation. She winks, asking if her new aesthetic is viral-worthy, joking that her cute avatar could easily bait way more freshmen into enrolling. The old man fully turns around, his face dropping into dead serious mode. He snaps her back to reality, reminding her that she is the core intelligence running this entire academy. Her true identity is highly classified, a top-tier secret locked away from the masses. The digital girl instantly puffs out her cheeks, throwing a massive, exaggerated pout. She groans that even after an entire century, the headmaster remains a total absolute buzzkill. Gliding right behind his shoulder, she hypes up the current rookie batch, calling them completely overpowered. She specifically drops the hype about their brand new double S-tier prodigy, wondering why that massive win is not making him smile. The principal tears his gaze away, a heavy shadow crossing his face. He breaks the math down. Your average person usually tops out at roughly 10 total attribute points. But Dawn Academy, the absolute bare minimum threshold to get in is 20. Yet Shaolin's stats barely scrape together a pathetic 9, making him look like a total. Innate talents are strictly hidden until after a student formally enrolls. He mutters, his voice dropping into a grim, serious register. Meaning on paper, this kid had absolutely zero right to ever hold an acceptance letter. The Dawn Academy Central AI just brushes the tension off with a light digital giggle. She teases that it was probably just a wildly lucky glitch by the admins that accidentally scored them a hidden prodigy. The principal ignores her, pivoting around to burn holes into the scenery outside the glass. He finally drops the dark truth about what happened when he tried to pull the freshman's files. The results he uncovered were straight up chilling. He freezes dead in his tracks, letting a suffocating silence swallow the entire room. The sheer crushing gravity of his upcoming words practically chokes the air. Shaolin's admission log, it literally does not exist anywhere in the Academy's mainframe.